call the meeting of the Agriculture Advisory Board to order at this time for October the 10th. If you would, we're going to have a moment of silence before we start the meeting. At this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Rex Blanton, our District 3 representative, to do the invocation and the pledge.
Okay. Let's bow our heads and pray with me if you'd like. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the opportunity to meet openly, speak freely at this meeting. Help us to support all our citizens in Oconee. Help us to support the county council and promote agriculture and natural resource awareness in this region. Help us to do all our duties to the best of our ability and bring glory to you. For it is in your name we pray. Amen. All right, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have the minutes from the August 8th meeting. Are there any changes, deletions, additions, etc.? If not, do I have a motion to approve the minutes as submitted and written?
I'll make a motion.
Second. Ashley, all in favor? We have no public comment at this meeting, so we'll move on to our discussion items on the agenda. Mandolin is not here.
I didn't get an answer.
She may be just a few minutes late. We'll just move out of order, if that's okay. And I'll go to Soil and Water Conservation. Cecilia, I'll give it to you. Rex.
That's why I was checking it first. It's going to be fun tonight, don't worry about it. All right, so good evening. Thank you so much for having me, allowing me to come and talk to you a little bit tonight. Share a little bit about the Conservation District, give you a little bit of an update on our 5-year strategic plan that we finished just a couple of months ago, and also to share just a couple of resources that we have and we try to bring awareness to. Hopefully you'll find them interesting, maybe some usefulness out of it as well. So, I guess. Tonight, I'd like to just tell you again a little bit about who we are, go over our future plans, and then, of course, to share the resources. So starting with who we are a subsection of legal state government. We were established in 1937. We have the distinction of holding the recording of the first conservation plan in the nation. That was 85 years ago in just a couple of months, so 84 and counting. We work with federal, state, and local agencies and organizations on the conservation of our soil, water, and related natural resources. And we're one of 46 in the state. Every county has a conservation district. We are governed by 5 unpaid commissioners, 3 of which are elected, 2 are appointed. We are a little bit unique here in Oconee because we do have a diversified funding model. So we have support from Oconee County government. We have a state appropriation. We also have multiple grants that help fund some of our programs. And we have our membership dues and revenues for some of our programs that we offer. Yeah, you can go. So our vision is to be a conservation leader in Oconee County, the upstate and South Carolina, leaving a legacy of conservation stewardship throughout the generations. Basically, what we mean by that is we want the next generation to care about natural resources just as much, if not more than us. We want to be able to hand them something that they are proud of and for them to take care of it for their children. We just wanted it to sound a little fancier. And our mission is to lead those conservation stewardship efforts in Oconee County through technical assistance, educational, public outreach, and of course, agricultural support. While we are here with you this evening. And our primary responsibility for us is to the future. So we'll move on to our future. So our 5-year strategic plan, again, this was adopted in August. We had our first draft adopted in June, but we let it sit, and then come August, we had some more updates that we wanted to put in there. So this is a brand new document. It is just like any other plan, strategic plan, comprehensive plan, whatever plan making you want to think of. We evaluated our strengths and our weaknesses, where we are today, where we want to be. We surveyed the community and our stakeholders to see what they felt the top resources, or top resource concerns were, and what our priorities should be. We identified those top priorities, and then we created our goals and strategies, both from a 5-year perspective and also for each individual year. Obviously, we've only done this year to begin with. Now, from the survey that we had and from the discussion among the board members, we determined that there were 4 overarching issues that we wanted to focus on, which these guided each of our goals and strategies. Conservation planning, conservation awareness, agricultural support, and our natural resource management. So with conservation planning, making sure that we are partnering with our local governments whenever possible, making sure that we have the tools that are necessary, or finding those tools, so that the agencies, boards, commissions have those in order to make the best decisions that they can make. And conservation awareness. This one is really our public outreach, whether it's K through 12, whether it's a senior in high school, whether it's a senior citizen. We can always continue to learn, and so we want to reach out as much as possible. This does include our agricultural community as well, because we do partner very closely with our NRCS department, who has actual financial assistance as well as technical guidance. And then we have some programs ourselves that we can partner with, such as the no-till drill. That ties into our agricultural support. So tying them in with our natural NRCS. Lots of times I'm sending them over to Clemson Extension as well, depending on what issue they've got. And then our natural resource management, we hold the conservation easement program in-house. We have 24 easements as of right now, out of 49 in the county, so we have almost half of them. We do maintain 8 different flood control dams in 2 different watersheds and the maintenance of those, and we are looking very closely at development around those, because we know that should anything happen to one of those structures, the possible damage that could come from that. All right, well, I don't want to take up too much of your time. But our big picture is going to be stewardship. You'll probably hear me say stewardship a lot tonight, because that is our main focus. We recognize that our natural resources do not belong to us. Even if we may own land at this point, we know we can't take it with us. It's going to be left to someone. So you want to be able to use it wisely to its potential, but also to where you can pass it on to your children or your children's children. We also recognize that whether people are coming from somewhere else to visit, whether they are new residents, whether they've been here for 5 generations or a 100-year century farm, there is something very integral to the land. We are very much connected to the land. That can be the farm and making sure that we have food and fiber and forage. It could be going to one of the waterfalls on your first date, or taking your kids there and showing where you got engaged. It can be just that green space that you go out to at lunch because you need a mental health break and you just need to recharge and refresh. We have a very tight relationship with the land and with this green, so we want to make sure that we take care of it. And we do call it our green infrastructure. Our gray infrastructure is important, but our green infrastructure is just as important to connect us. So when you go and you talk to someone out there, why do you love this place? More than likely, they're not going to tell you because there's a sidewalk, or because there's a Walmart, or because there's a restaurant. They're going to describe a feeling that they've got. It feels like home, or some other untangible, non-quantitative measure. And that sense of community, or that character of the area that we want to focus on. So we can't always measure these things, but we know it when we feel it. And so that's why we have to have so much interaction and such a good relationship with the public, and to be able to talk with them. So all of those things we take into account. As you can tell, we go into a bunch of different areas. We do not focus on one thing. Every day is something new. But again, all of this is to steward as wisely as possible what we have today, and raise up a generation of steward and conservation leaders to where they can take over for us tomorrow. So just to go over a couple of resources, you may have already gotten some of these from either planning or the Agricultural Task Force. But here is a map of our prime soils in Oconee County. I gave each of you a copy of that as well. I do apologize for the coloring. That is from NRCS. I tried to adjust it the best I could on the image, but printing I know is hard to read. But basically, if you see green, that is a prime soil. If you see teal, that is a statewide important soil. If you see a little bit of yellow, those would be prime if they were protected from flooding. So all of these are the best soils for food, fiber, forage, oilseed crops, those type of things. It's not that the areas that you see in red are not suitable for growing anything. That's just not as highest and best use. The areas that are in green and teal, that is as highest and best use, so that's why we focus on them. And I can read off these numbers to you and tell you that out of 350,000 acres in Oconee County, less than 30,000 of them are prime. But since I know some people like visual better, I'm going to ask if we can go to the next slide. And this may paint the picture a little bit better. So out of all the soils that we have, that little yellow sliver that says 8.5%, that's our prime soil. 12.7 for statewide, less than 2 for prime and protected from flooding. So we're talking about less than a quarter of our soils, less than 25% of all of our soils in Oconee County are best suited for agricultural. So that's why you see us constantly saying, well, is it prime soil or not? But we need to protect our prime soils, we need to protect our statewide soils. I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir, but just in case, I'm getting it out there anyway. So again, it's not that you can't develop on any of these, it's not that we are against developing on these. We just want to make sure that you have the information that we do have less than 25% prime and statewide important soils. So we want to use those wisely if at all possible. And then the next map that you have, I know you cannot see this one on screen. I apologize. That's why you have one in here. That one will show you where the 24 easements that we currently hold are located. Oddly enough, a lot of them also are in the same areas where you see the darker green, which is areas that are currently zoned as agricultural. Most of them are in the southern region, near the Oakway, Fairplay, Townville area. Not all of them, but a good many of them are. We do have 7 applications sitting in my office right now awaiting funding for conservation easements. So we may have over 30 before the end of next year. So we definitely have interest. And all of those, save one, is in the same area. So you have a community telling you what they want down there. And I told you earlier, but we do have 49 total in Oconee County. The other 25 are held by a variety of agencies. Upstate Forever would be the next one who holds the majority of these. But we're talking about less than 8,000 acres is conserved out of the 350,000. All of the ones that are conserved are on prime soils, which is nice. But that still leaves another 23,000 out there that's not protected. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up because I know you said keep this short and sweet.
No.
So just to leave you with a little quote, so hopefully you will be inspired, from Teddy Roosevelt. This is your country, so cherish your natural wonders, cherish your natural resources, cherish the history and the romance of this heritage and leave it for your children and your grandchildren. And then I want to give a shameless plug. We have an agricultural celebration of agriculture banquet next month on the 17th. And if anybody would like to come, I have tickets back here. We would love to have you come and visit us and celebrate our agricultural community and our award winners for this year. Welcome to ask questions. I will answer them if I can. If I don't know the answer, I will go find the answer and then I will share it with you.
You stated that first, thank you for coming, sorry. And thank you for the invite. If we have enough interest, can you publicize that as a public meeting? Thank you, so that we don't get in trouble. One question, you stated that the yellow was prime soils if protected from flooding. Years ago, many years ago, there was a program in place. Is that program still in place for that protection, or are there any programs in place? Maybe that's how I should ask it.
My personal opinion is that we should not use that unless absolutely necessary, because when you drain those fields, then you are losing some of your storm water and your holding areas when rains do come. I would say that is your worst case scenario to use that land. And as far as if there's programs or not, I do not know of any programs currently. There may be something on a federal level. I have not heard of NRCS offering any programs at this time that include draining. If anything, we're trying to go back and mitigate and restore.
I didn't mean for draining. I meant for protection to ensure that we don't have the flooding. So,
Most of those are going to be pretty wet.
okay.
Follow up on that, you're saying your opinion would be to not drain it? Because those would be considered wetlands, yes?
Floodplain or a wetland.
Yeah.
But it doesn't change the soil that's underneath.
Right.
So we have to include it.
Yes, ma'am.
How recent was that chart showing the prime land percentages?
I downloaded that.
How recent is that information?
About a month and a half ago.
Okay.
Y'all also have several programs about stormwater mitigation or erosion control and good farming practices and all that.
NRCS does most of those programs. We tag team with them, and then we have some more K through 12 on things that homeowners can do or that children can do with their families. But the farming ones, we normally leave that to NRCS because they have the ability to help cost share. I don't.
I got you. You think we could get a copy of these slides and figures and things? Be very interested in the numbers, you know? Wrote down a few, but very, very good presentation.
Appreciate it.
I think we're waking up to how fast we're losing land and how important the environment is.
I have one more question following up on the wetland thing, because they are a kind of a keystone part of our natural resources. So is there an effort to conserve those as wetlands so that they won't be drained?
Yes.
There is. I wasn't looking at this very well, but are there any that are currently under conservation?
I only know of one. I haven't gone back and looked at some from, this program started in '07. So a couple of those I haven't dived into too much, but when I go out and do the monitoring, I can normally see if there's one or not. I can only think of one that has a wetland and several that, 2 or 3 that have floodplains.
Okay.
And the banquet is on the 17th at 6 o'clock. And
South Union Baptist Church.
the tickets are $12.
Yes, ma'am.
And if anybody that watches that's not here, they can purchase those from you at your office.
Yes, they can email me that they want to pay at the door. They can come by our office, or they can just mail in a check, and we will have it at Will Call for them. So 3 different ways.
What's the best way to draw some attention to the soil and the importance of prime soils and next to the prime soils as far as our preserving them, not letting them get developed?
Well, one of the things that we're doing this year is we were able to be awarded a soil health grant. And we have been using that in reaching out not only to our agricultural community, but also just anybody in the public on the benefits of taking care of your soil, what is prime soil, what is not, what are the different components of it, what are the different techniques if it is farming, such as the no-till drill. That's not the only one, but we happen to have one, so that's why we pushed that one. We have gone to the Heritage Fair. We've gone out to the National Hunting and Fishing Day, so anytime we can find a community event, we push it out at those times as well. And then sometimes we just have people come in, and if they mention soil at all, then we'll start a conversation with them. And particularly anyone who has an easement, we have some materials that are going out to them specifically, because a lot of them are still farming. And since they do have an easement, we want to really make sure that they're taking care of their soils, because they signed that in the contract, that they will take care of their resources. But as far as the way other people can help, obviously this board can help. The agricultural task force that was recently organized through council, they can help. Any other organization, and I don't care if it's Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, or if it's the Food Council, all of those have a voice and they can share it. Ultimately, I think our goal is still the same, that we want to keep the sense of community and the character and that feeling that we get that this is home and what we see when we look around us. So I'm not exactly concerned with which strategy someone else uses, because I think ultimately we're all going for the same goal. So I don't want to tell someone else what to say if they have the same information. I encourage them to share it with whoever their audience is.
One of the things that stood out in my mind about the Farmland Trust, one of the goals, and they had many goals and strategies, but one of the ones that stood out was what percentage of land would we propose to protect? What's a realistic number, you know?
And a lot of different, I won't say counties, I'll say municipalities, because the few I've seen right here recently have been municipalities. They've been including that in their comp plans and other strategic planning that they've done right here recently, because this is not unique to Oconee. And actually, Farmland Trust was who funded our soil health grant. So,
They gave an
We know them
excellent,
well.
they gave an excellent presentation to the council last meeting, so it
Billy,
was really good.
It did.
he's good.
One more question.
Sure.
What's your method of outreach for the farmers? And
Well, we have a couple. One, we have a pretty dedicated base already who come in through NRCS or through us. We have all of our mailing lists, even if they go off. Those that are new to the area, lots of times I don't have to reach out to them, they reach out to us. I've lost count in the last 6-7 months. You can probably say the exact same thing. of
new farmers specifically?
New farmers coming in from somewhere, not even in the southeast, and wanting to get into farming. And what resources do we have, what information can we share with them? So a lot of this them coming to us. We are not as good on social media as we need to be, but we do have
I feel that.
an Instagram page. We do have a website. And then, again, community events is something that we try to get out there as much as possible, because someone may come to that and just happen to come by. And even though I'm handing them a sticker or a bookmark for their kid, I can start up a conversation with a parent while I'm handing something to the child.
Do you have a copy of our beginning farmer guide?
I believe I do.
Okay, that'd be something that you could consider sharing with folks, the new ones that come in.
Not a problem.
That's,
We have racks out there that we push stuff off all the time.
that's something our board accomplished, so that'd be good to use it.
We can do that.
Is there a lot of interest in the easement program now?
I would say that somebody must have presented easements as the silver bullet a few months ago, because all of a sudden I had 5 within about 2 weeks, and then I've had a couple more since that time. Before this year, it has just been steady. We would go out and we would approach someone because we know they have a large acreage, and they have some unique characteristics on that property that we think they would be good candidates. Sometimes they would come to us because they already knew about the program. But this year, I think there was some publication other than us go out. And yes, we've had a lot of interest this year.
Is the money there now?
Unfortunately, I don't think there's enough money to fund all of them, which is why we're having to be very strategic on how we move forward with this. Even if there was a good bit of money there, if you go to the state bank's not gonna use their entire year's budget on one county.
But there are other organizations that
There
if.
are other organizations, the NRCS and State Bank and Upstate Forever, and even some other smaller ones. Those are our main go-tos, obviously Oconee as well. But almost all of them go through the state bank and at least try.
One thing I'd like the board to consider is some ways to help council fund the conservation banks and the easement
That's right.
priorities, some way that we can provide funding other than you getting volunteers and donations, and can't go very far. So,
Yes, I do think that original seed money is getting towards the bottom.
so a way to continually fund the conservation bank would be a good thing.
The state did just recently adopt a new funding method that hopefully will keep it stabilized at this higher fund. So even if we can't get it on a local level to begin with, hopefully the state can can cover us until we figure out what we need to do on a local level.
Talking with people, even myself, I got pretty good large acreage I'd like to put into it, but every time I talk, there's no funding, so. And it's like the ones before, they were able to get in it, and it's like, it's never recovered since the first one went into the easements. Yeah, is that what y'all hear? It's never recovered for anybody else to,
They do have a percentage limit now, and the same thing with the state. If you can go through NRCS, you can get some additional money that way. The only thing with that one is you do have to have a farm track and be a legitimate farming enterprise or individual in order to go through them. And then also you need to be prepared to wait at least a couple of years for it to go through the process. Even with just the local, you're still talking about 6 months to a year, closer to the year. If you go through the federal, I think the last one we did was on about 2.5 years to go through. It's not a quick process, and that turns some people away because they think it's something nice, quick and easy, and then I can just get a check and I can move forward, and it's not like that. And that can't be the only tool that we use. There's got to be some other tools, and it's not right for everybody. There may not be someone they can leave it to. And it's really hard to sell some things with an easement unless you can find that right buyer. So I'm certainly, definitely not against easements. I just don't want that to be the only tool that we advertise and the only tool that we attempt to use.
Is it a generic contract or a general contract, or is it tailored? Is the farmer able to have input?
Each one is tailored to the landowner and what they want for their property.
So it's like a negotiation before?
Yes.
Okay.
They tell us at the very onset, when they fill out an application, I have a conversation with them, and they go ahead and tell me what it is they envision for their property. So for some, they may open it up to the public, and it may have an easement on it. For another one, it may be, it is only for farming, nobody else comes on here, and it's just passed down through the generations, or if somebody doesn't want it sold, but it still has to be used for XYZ. Some, you can't cut the trees unless they're diseased. No harvesting. It all depends on what the person
Okay.
desires.
It's
Because
quite a
it's still their land.
process, yeah. And you can read about the County Conservation Bank and the application process for it. It's pretty extensive, pretty specific.
Yes, their application is actually longer than the state's.
I'll agree that we need to look at how we can fund that. That's always been the issue, like you said, Charlie, when we looked at it, is the funding. It's like, well, you can, but you'll be on this. You're not at the top of the list. You may be 10 down.
No, I completely understand. Right here recently, if anybody has even come to us, I've had to tell them at the very beginning, you're welcome to fill in an application with me, but you're gonna be number 7, 8, 9 in the list. You might wanna talk to Upstate Forever, or you might wanna talk to,
Right.
somebody else, just because I don't want them waiting on me. And there's only so many I can do at a time and focus on those, because obviously we do a few other things in our office. That's not the only thing we do.
Can they apply to multiple agencies at one time, or do they have to wait for the results of one before going to another?
One agency is going to be the one that holds the easement, so applying for that one agency to hold, but then they, in conjunction with, if it's going through us, we will hold the easement. But if they want to try 5 or 6 different funding mechanisms, that's fine. Whether we need to go talk to them or whether they talk to them for us and then we just meet up in the middle, we don't have a problem with that. They can't apply to each individual one because only one can hold the easement itself and be in charge of monitoring it. So they can ask for funding, just not apply for the easement.
questions, that kind of. Thank you.
Thank you.
Legislative update is the next item on our agenda, and I think that goes back, Charlie, to the, I think if everybody got their tax notice, there was not supposed to be any tax on agricultural buildings. Is that
Yeah, as of, June the 28th,
June the 28th?
I believe the, tax on buildings, if you're using a building for agriculture, store feed, or anything agriculture in the county, you will no longer be taxed on that building.
So any of your outbuildings, if they had
Sheds,
tax on them?
tractor sheds, chicken houses. That has come aboard now. We're gonna see how it does. I hope it does well.
Me too. That helps out the little farmer for sure. So, okay. If there's nothing else at this time, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I do want to say, Mandolin does send her apologies for missing this one. She was unaware that it rolled over to the next
Okay.
week, so.
I got
maybe
you.
We can get her in next week or next month.
I think that would be great if we can just plan on that being our update for November. That would be great. Okay.
It's been 5 years since we did a proclamation on ag awareness. Would the board like me to update the wording on that and submit it for y'all's approval, and then on up to council if y'all approve it?
When is National Farmers Week? Is that not in November? Yes, ma'am.
The Farm City Week that we are sponsoring is that week of the 17th, so I believe that would be the 13th through the 19th. Is that right?
November? Yeah.
And
Do
we'll
you-
do a proclamation too.
Y'all have a proclamation as well? Okay. I was going to look to see, if we did one to support you guys and to support farming, and that would go along with the ag task force.
I don't mind us not doing one and letting this board do it. It actually takes something off my plate anyway, so that's fine. But it would be nice if it was in conjunction.
That's what I was gonna say, we'll do it in conjunction with you to support you. Is that okay?
That would be-
What if we collaborated on it? Share what we have.
So our next meeting is on the That's what I was just looking at. We really need it to go before the 14th. It would need to go the 1st, correct? It would have to go the 1st or the 15th.
You want to get it on the November 8th council agenda. The deadline for that is going to be November 1st.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Yes.
Okay. So then, can we have the rough draft, Rex, by the end of next week?
Yes, ma'am, I've been working on it, I just hadn't finalized it yet.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Is that in agreement with everybody, so everyone can see it by email, via email by the 21st?
What's the formal title?
Agricultural awareness and appreciation, what did we call it last time?
Proclamation of, what would it be? What would we call it?
I'm looking at Cecilia because she has Farm City Week. What is the title of your proclamation?
I would have to pull it when I got back to the office, but basically it is highlighting the recognizing and supporting our agricultural community and its attributes to natural resources or something like that.
Okay.
I'd have to
And ours
pull
would
it.
be similar to support that for the.
Ours last time said something to the effect of Agricultural Appreciation Month, I think it was,
In support of.
in support, yeah.
of
And that's for the
conservation.
month of November?
Yes.
Yeah.
So can you put that together?
I will
and-
try to do it this week because, next week probably going to be impossible, but I'll try to finish it up this week.
Okay, if you send, I'll try to help you if you need me to. We'll just, if it's okay, we'll just communicate through email. And James, if you would, we'll send it to you to send out to everybody. We won't send to everybody.
Yeah.
Main thing I was doing was tweaking the numbers based on the 2012 and 2017 ag census, the differences there. So that's basically what I was doing. All I've got left to do, so.
Okay, all right. Any other? If not, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thank you for